Hello everybody, it's Daniel. Welcome to Android Studio 4.0 tutorial. Today we're going to build a list of, started out being like grocery stores or foods, but I think it's going to be restaurants maybe. And then maybe you pick a restaurant and then pick a food or something. But we're going to build this recycler view list. Again, just 30-second kind of maintenance. So this is Android Studio 4.0, the latest, so go ahead and download it or upgrade. I made a part on Android Studio 3.6 like 2.5 months ago. That's on my channel. So what we're actually going to be doing, even though this is Android Studio 4.0 Part 1, we're going to be picking up where we left off in 3.6. So some stuff changed in Android Studio, but nothing that we're concerned with for these two videos. So if you want, you can watch this, but if you want more context, go back to Android Studio 3.6 tutorial. It's on my YouTube channel, and follow along there. Watch that for, it's like 20 or 30 minutes. Watch that. And then you can come back to this and watch this. You can actually, you should be able to code my 3.6 video in 4.0. So just go ahead and download the latest Android Studio 4.0. Again, it's June 2020 during COVID. Yeah, so maintenance, we'll get started in just a second, but yeah, go back and if you want, watch the 3.6. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and build this, a recycler view. So I'll just close everything out. So we'll go ahead and open up, I'm trying to think of what we should do first. So a recycler view is basically a list. So instead of having to code, like there are 32 products here, or 32 stores here. So instead of having to code 32 different buttons, for example, and titles and the kind of weird $sign, because I'm not a designer, a recycler view allows us to like kind of reuse a lot. So from right there to right there is one section, and then it just repeats again and again. Now with the recycler view, the data can actually be different. So instead of chicken with toast and sauce for every single item, we can keep the layout the same, like the button color and text position and bold and stuff, and just swap out the data. So instead, the only thing that'll change from row to row is just maybe the picture, the name, and that kind of stuff. Let's get started. See first fragment. I'm gonna see something. I think it's first fragment. Gonna open up, yeah, first fragment I think is what we need to open up. Again, command click and or control click on Windows, I think. Yeah, this is our layout. And one thing that changed recently in Android Studio was the switching between code and split, what they call it, or design mode. It used to be down there in some of my previous videos in like the 2020 edition and 2019 edition. But we have this up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go here and actually first thing we're going to do, let's go to split mode. So if this is a little bit confusing, go back and watch literally any of my 200 videos and I'll talk more about this. But in split mode, it has kind of the design mode where we can click and drag buttons on and stuff. And it gives us our code view in XML. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to, with first fragment open, I'm going to locate it. So that'll open up the directory it's in. It's inside of resources and layouts. I'm going to create a new row here. This will kind of be our, row, and you'll see it by the end of the video. You'll see what it does. This is going to be the design that repeats again and again. So we'll call this single restaurant row. We'll call it that. Constraint layout there is good. Hit OK. And it just creates a blank, empty screen for us. We can go to design mode, and just like any other videos, we can click and drag stuff in. And it basically just codes that for us. But I'm going to do Command Z to get rid of that. And you'll see the button goes away on the screen and it goes away there. I'm going to format the code, and you can do that by doing the keyboard shortcut, or the keyboard shortcut should be, I don't usually reformat code. There we go. Is that right? Yeah, I just did an X there. Okay, so we have our layout. Whoops, we have our layout. I'm going to do something. I'm going to use code view. So, and first fragment, don't copy the constraint layout widget. And again, if this is confusing, go back, watch any of my 200 videos or whatever. So I'm going to copy all of that. So not the constraint layout there and not the constraint layout at the top. I'm going to cut that so there's nothing there. I'm going to open up the single restaurant row and paste it inside of there. And again, yeah, this might be confusing if you're actually starting out, so go back and watch 3.6, or go back and watch my 2020 edition or my 2019 edition. Lots of good stuff there. Okay, so some errors again, click on the red. You can always do Alt-Enter, and that fixes everything. So here's our layout. This is the part that's going to repeat again and again. So we're not going to actually code everything again. I need to update my emulator maybe. So what's going to happen is it's going to repeat. Get bigger. Cool, awesome. Sweet. Okay, so we have our a single restaurant row. And normally in real life, I might name it something a little bit different, but that works for now. So back inside of our first fragment, we can reformat the code, and there's nothing here. We can either type in a recycler view inside of the constraint layout, or we can simply just drag one in. I usually type it, but for this case, I'll drag it in. It looks like it's not constraint layout, so it's not. And you can tell because it has the editor. That's kind of an Android Studio thing, and there's an error there letting us know it's not constrained. So in design mode, what we can do is, we can resize it because like right now it's not constrained to anything, doesn't do anything. Just put it in the middle. To constrain it, we can click and drag. Click and drag on the arrows, on the circles, and that will, there we go. So now it's centered. So to actually make it go full width, what we can do is we can look under attributes. We can make this 0dp, just make the width there, and 0dp. I know it's a little counterintuitive. Making it 0 makes it go 100%. That's how Android Studio works. Kind of makes sense. Yeah, it kind of does, but just 0dp, and that'll make it go full height and full width for this. And I think that's what we need. And it kind of shows item 0 through item 9. There's actually a way we can preview our row, but we won't do that right now. Let us go to a single restaurant. Okay, I think we're good. So this, the first fragment XML layout is done, and a single restaurant row is done. Again, that's looking good. There's our recycler view, and here's our row. Actually, one thing. Yeah, we're going to change that in just a second, but you'll see. I'll get to that in just a second. Okay, let's go to first fragment. You should have first fragment here. It should be inside of. By the way, if you open up a file and you want to know where it is in the folder, say if everything is even closed and nothing's open, with say a single restaurant row.xml open, click that icon, it'll locate it right for you. So it's inside of res, resources layout, a single restaurant. Same thing for first fragment, want to know where this is, hit that, oh, it's right there, boom, sorry, boom. Okay, so first fragment, let's go inside of a view, on view created. And inside of here, so between that and that, let's make some space here. Oh, we didn't give it an ID, we actually need to do that. So with the recycler view selected in fragment first, did we call it that? Yeah, we must have. Let's call this, let's do restaurants recycler view, and we'll give it that ID. So we can actually access it, and now we're done with it. So restaurants recycler view, and again, it's only gonna show up there if you type out the ID there. If you don't have an ID, if I get rid of the ID, it'll just error out and you won't be able to type. It won't be there. So make sure you give it an ID. Oops. What can I do? Shoot. Did I mess something up? What did I do? What did I do? You can do a keyboard shortcut. I must have. Why am I doing that? Yeah, okay. We'll just type it out again because I apparently messed it up. Keyboard shortcut back to there. Anyways, sorry about that. Okay, let's just call this with the recycler view selected. Do restaurants. Probably messed something up. Anyways, there we go. So recycler view, restaurants RecyclerView. And by the way, yep, you can always just undo, redo keyboard shortcuts, just pretty much like any other program from Google Docs to Photoshop. Actually, Photoshop's, anyways, never mind. Okay, so first fragment, restaurants. Dun, dun, dun. Now let's do a dot apply. We want that. Apply is kind of like, apply is the same as doing dot, what's something we could do dot. Do. It's basically like doing, say we want to do a lot of stuff, we want to call a lot of stuff on restaurants RecyclerView. We can always put a dot and then do some kind of function like item, you know. We can do something like that. Or if we just want to type restaurants RecyclerView once, what we can do, we can do dot apply. Then we can do all our stuff here. So now we can do whatever it was, animation. We can do animate. We can do all our stuff here. It's the same as typing that and a dot again and again. Just makes it a little bit easier. Kind of the Kotlin way to do it. I don't think we had a equivalent in Java, so thank you, JetBrains. So inside of here, let's do this. Let's do layout manager, something we just have to do, linear layout manager. And if you're inside of an activity, normally you do like this, but that's not gonna, oops. Yep, so good. So that's not exactly going to work. This is a fragment. This is something different. In some cases, you might try activity, and that's going to, layout manager, sorry. This, so there we go. So this, that shouldn't work because it's not exactly context. Yeah, so, and we can do activity, and that should work because we're inside of a fragment. So in fragments, just kind of generally remember, you can just, instead of this, like you would do in an activity, this is a fragment, so just know to put activity, and that'll work. And one more thing, we need our adapter. So adapter, actually let's create our adapter really quickly. Let's go back into com.example, and I know I'm going kind of fast. Some people kind of like that, so kind of experimenting. Let's create a new class. We'll call this restaurants adapter. Call it that. There we go. So we'll go back, Control Tab, or just select the tab, and we'll do, here we can do adapter equals restaurants adapter, just like that. And that kind of says our layout manager, set it to, that kind of just lets us just do that. And then adapter, that's basically where all the brains are of our list. So the manager of all, let's do that. So the manager of all of like deciding, you know, how to repeat everything, why to repeat it 32 times or whatever I set it to, how to scroll, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. That all happens in the RecyclerView. So we're actually done with this screen. And for now, we're not going to pass it data. For now, we'll just use the same data. We'll use our chicken and with toast and sauce for, I think it's hard-coded inside of here, and it is. We can always give it an ID and edit that in the RecyclerView so it's different for each row. But for now, this works. Part 2, probably, or 10 or whatever, 20, 100. First fragment, this is actually done. So it's giving us an error, but not because, not exactly because of something in this class. It's something inside of restaurants adapter. Command click to go inside of there. Now this needs to, this is a nice Kotlin class. We need to, behind the scenes, use a bunch of Android code. So Android has written a ton of code for RecyclerView. We don't want to type out a million lines of code to do it ourselves, so we're just gonna use some of their code. So recycler, it's like RecyclerView.adapter, and that lets Android know, hey, instead of typing out hundreds of lines or thousands, tens of thousands of lines of code here, probably more, I don't know. Yeah, more definitely. Yeah, something like that. But a lot of code, instead of having to write all that, we're just gonna type that right there, and that behind the scenes lets us use tons of code, and we're gonna use it are we ever. Okay, so restaurants adapter.ViewHolder, class, that's just what we type for a class. That can be anything, but we named it restaurants adapter. And this is the class of what we want to pull in from Android. So behind the scenes, Not stuff we have to type, just stuff that we get for free. And we can modify it a little bit as we need, but it's pretty good. We don't need to do that much. Very flexible. Outside of this, we need to put that there. So we're getting a number of errors, and whenever you get an error, you can put your mouse over there to see what the error is, and you can always click on it and do Alt-Enter, and it gives you some suggestions. So we have 2 errors. The restaurant adapter class, it's not implementing stuff. We'll fix that in just a second, but our ViewHolder, we'll fix that first. Click Alt-Enter, create class ViewHolder. We can give that class its own file, or we can just do it here. I'm going to do it here. And that actually doesn't quite work, so we'll do, so again, so we have a class right there. We're going to put a class inside of it. So this is going to be a ViewHolder, kind of what we need. And our ViewHolder also needs to pull in a ton of code from Android. So instead of typing out 10,000, 100,000 lines of code, we'll just type recycler.viewHolder, and that's not going to quite work. We need to actually pass a view of type view, and we'll pass our view inside of there. Okay, I swear this will work when we're done. It might not necessarily make sense, but again, I literally have, I don't know, 200 videos, 300, I don't know, a lot on my channel. So if this is too fast and confusing, please go back and watch everything, or just watch the 3.6, and the 2020 edition is pretty good, and so is the 2019 edition of Android Studio. I have lots though. Kind of spend a couple hours a month on this. Some months I don't spend any, but this is like I spent 16 minutes, actually 20 minutes, because I had to just play around with it really quick. But 20 minutes so far this month of June. Okay. Click and Alt-Enter and implement methods. Now this, we want to select all of these. So click on the top one, then do Shift or Command or Control something. Just select all of those. Actually, we should be able to select all. I don't know. Just select all of those and hit OK. And this is the stuff we can modify easily. Well, there's a lot we can modify. There's some we can't necessarily, but don't necessarily need to modify. So what we don't need to modify is kind of behind the scenes. We can look at if we want to, but we don't need to mess with. This stuff right here we can modify, and it's all good. Actually kind of need to modify it. Gonna put the ViewHolder at the bottom. Doesn't matter though. Okay. So the first one, by the way, you can see there's an error on this class. There's like a red squiggly underneath it. You can see it there and there and there. If you open up the class, you can actually do F2 and it'll take you to the error. So it'll tell you where those 2 errors are. So I can see, just hit F2 again and again and again, and you can see those 2 errors. So this one is the easiest to fix. I'm going to get rid of that and do 32. So this method means how many items are there going to be. Now, normally, if you're buying if you're pulling this from your website, or they're doing a search or something, you don't necessarily want to hard code 32. You want to be like products dot number of or I'm messing up products or whatever. But you normally want to do a variable. So like if they search for tomato and there's only 4 tomato soup restaurants, then there are going to be 4. We don't actually know that there are going to be 32 restaurants, but for now we'll just say they're 32. Because we're not actually getting actual data right now, it'll just be the same again and again. Another error, if we click anywhere, we just do F2, we can see we got an error there. Hover over there, you can kind of see what it is. Going kind of fast. What we need to do is we need to do val, we're going to do a variable. We'll do this view equals layout inflator, I think, from. This takes a context, and we can do parent.context.inflate. Inside of here, this is actually going to be our a single restaurant row. So always type the r.layout, then a dot, then the name of your layout. So in this case, single restaurant row. Enter. There it is. Almost done. I swear to God, we're almost done. And then we do parent, and then false. I think. Yep. Okay. Cool. Now we still get an error because we haven't actually returned anything. So what we need to do is we need to return something. We'll do return ViewHolder view. Okay. Moment of truth. Will this work? I think it'll work. Let me think. RecyclerView, blah, 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 single row. Hey, well, it'll actually fail, and I know exactly why. Okay, let's run it, and we'll debug. So run it, and by the way, you can do the keyboard shortcut or always hit that. And I haven't updated my emulator recently. I don't use Android Studio. I gotta admit, I usually use my work laptop for Android Studio. I work on the My HEB app in Texas, so I don't usually the only time I haven't used this Android Studio in like a month or two. I literally have not used it on my laptop here. I had to upgrade like 30 minutes ago. Okay, so we ran it, nothing happened. Gonna run it again. You might be confused about what's going on. Let me get this error, crash, blah, 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 keep stopping. So whenever you get that, whenever you encounter that, what you need to do is go to logcat on the bottom there. And, oh yeah, so if you have a couple of devices, make sure you select the right one. I had one open up earlier. And there's a lot you can do here. Make sure there's nothing in the search bar. If you search for ASDF and there's nothing there for it, it's not going to do you any good. So what we can do is instead of showing everything, we can show just our errors, like why it crashed. And now, to be honest, I don't know what you don't need to know what like basically any of this means. Whenever you get an error, look for the blue text. So some of this is like orange and gray and stuff. I don't even look at any. I don't remember the last time I've looked at any of that. I do not look at that. The only thing that's important is like the first line. See where it's basically, let's look for where it's like indented the first time. And then right before the at, all the ats like in the lines and stuff. Search, what's important is that line right there. And then like the line right below it. Basically just look for the blue text. And that should be a file you created. So if I click on there, it'll take you right to the error. So in some cases it might, when you do that, it might look like that, and you'll kind of be like, yeah, it's red, something's wrong, maybe change that to view, and it works, and ta-da, and it works. In some cases like this, there's actually no error here, so it might be a little bit more involved. What you can actually do is go into Google and Google Android Studio, and then copy and paste like just the first part in or something like that. And pretty much within the first couple of results, you'll probably see Stack Overflow, random blogs, and all kinds of stuff. And if you read some stuff, you may be able to figure it out, but that's the if you don't know somebody and you're working by yourself, might be your best option is to just open up Logcat and just copy and paste and read it definitely. See if you can understand it. If you don't know what it means, copy and kind of paste it into Google. Just start with Android Studio, then paste in kind of the error message. You can probably, I'm sure somebody else has the same problem. So I actually know what's going on here. So a null pointer exception is where, so let's read this together. Attempts to invoke virtual method. So a method is basically method is kind of something after a dot. So if we go to first fragment, we'll see there's a dot there, so that is not working. The onClick, sorry. So it says the onClick, that's right. So the set onClick listener. And a quick way is to always just comment code out, which is what we're gonna do, but it means on a null object reference. So that means whatever comes before this set onClick listener is null. So if we go, it means I'm going to try to explain this. So it means our button first is null. And the reason for that really quickly before I run it and fix it is because this button used to be inside of our fragment here, and now it's not. Now we moved it to a different file. And so our first fragment here, we're only looking at our first fragment. And if I go inside of here, I can even go into split mode and see there's definitely no button. Now I could add a button here. I could type out a button, give it an ID of whatever it wanted. Damn, that's not what I wanted. I should fill that. I could give it an ID of whatever it wanted. What did it want? button first. So I can give it an idea of, and that would work. But I actually don't want a button there. What I'm going to do is just for sake of time, oops, I'm going to just comment it out. So it starts with just put those 2 slashes in front of anything really. You know, you want to comment something out, do that, and just, it's like the code is gone. It's like the code doesn't exist. Now you can look at it, but it's not going to run in the emulator or run in your app or anywhere. Save it and run it, and I'm 92% sure this will work. 98% sure it'll work. 100% sure it'll work. Oh, it did. Okay, so you're probably wondering, hey, you see just 1 there. Again, common problem, but if you scroll, you'll notice, hey, it actually does work. There's just a lot of space in between them. So there should be 32 here. And again, all this content is from part 3.6, Android Studio 3.6 from like 2 months ago. Still pretty good. So ta-da, working, it works. Okay, one more thing, as Steve Jobs says. We will actually get rid of that space. So what's going on here is the row is actually taking up the entire height of the device, or height of, yeah, basically. So go into a single restaurant row, cool name. And let's select our constraint layout. And let's give it a height of wrap parent, or wrap content. I'll save it. I don't think I need to save. I have a habit of saving. It saves automatically. Pretty sure. Okay. So here we go. So now it's all really tight. So we can pick a restaurant. I want chicken. I want some vegan breakfast tacos. I want vegan sushi. I'm vegan. I want a vegan veggie burger. I want a taco. I love cooking. Okay, so one thing I want to fix, okay, really last thing, is that button right there is right next to the next image. I want to add some spacing there. Many ways to do it, but I'm going to, just for now, I'm going to do, actually I'm going to search for something just for fun. Padding, let's do our padding there. Padding, bottom, let's do, I think we can do that. We can do just one, okay. And let's run it, and I'm pretty sure this will be it. Then I'll stop the video. We're at like 27 minutes. Ta-da! Here we go. So if you're in Austin, Texas, US, United States, and you want chicken with toast and sauce, either download this app, coming soon to the Play Store, or make your own. Leave comments below. See you in the next video.